What's up, my dear humans? Welcome to a new Psicoactivo. It is kind of like an expected but still disappointing day for this UFO disclosure, control disclosure movement that is going on. When I started doing this, I reached out to Christian Harloff, and he realized that I was doing good work because my first articles in Marca, where I no longer work now, on the topic were there, and they were being read by a lot of people. Initially, when the hearings happened, I was hearing about this legislation, and the first thing that came to mind immediately was, yeah, right, that's going to happen. We need to understand something about the government. First of all, it's election year. When it's election year, all the attention is directed at that. Who's going to be the next president? Unfortunately, yes, we have done a lot of progress since 2017. Over the past week, a number of senators and congresspeople started talking openly about UAP. That is very important. I'm going to show you a couple of clips right here.
I've seen a number of folks in respected media respond pretty alarmist to the UFO testimony. Right. And so I am sure that you found that amusing. Why? I mean, you're going to see conspiracy theory, of course, but why is there so much excitement about this supposed intelligence?
Well, I mean, it's, our galaxy is a big place. The universe is 2 trillion galaxies, and we've got, hundreds of billions of stars and planets in our own. And it's, something people often think about. Is there life out there somewhere else? What is that life like? Does that life visit here? Does visit Earth? I get these questions all the time. People think as I've been to space, like maybe I have this special insight, or maybe I've seen something. While I've spent time orbiting the Earth. I haven't. I don't think we've got visitors from other places. Having said that, I've seen some compelling testimony, from Navy fighter pilots, who often in one case in a position of leadership in a squadron, that's seen something very compelling. It's our obligation. On the Armed Services Committee.
Something that he is convinced is technologically not possible by the U.S. or adversaries.
In one case, that is true.
Yeah. And what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's our responsibility, if to look into it and put some more resources behind studying these phenomena. We don't call them UFOs anymore. We call them UAPs. We changed the name.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
So it's the same thing.
That should make it
easier. It's a UFO.
Yeah.
It's basically.
And as the answer, we don't know. At this point, we haven't devoted enough resource to be credible in a response.
Well, I don't know if it's a resource.
Perspective, why you think that is an important hearing to have, what you would hope to have from it.
I'll tell you, there are a lot of Americans who are interested in this issue. It's not going to go away. And I don't think we should be afraid of hearing from experts and trying to winnow the myths from reality. And who knows, we may learn something, but we shouldn't be we shouldn't be reluctant to look at it.
Do you know who's going to come talk to you?
I do not. I probably could get that to you, but right now I do not know.
So one of them is a 180 completely. The other one I hadn't heard about. Senator Kelly is a former astronaut, and he was always like dismissive of the UFO topic. But now he's calling for more investigation into it. So this pressure that was happening to the most prominent and powerful politicians in Washington resulted in today's events, which is that the UAPDA is essentially dead this year. It did not make it into the NDAA managers package. They only added 3 different provisions. I'm going to read them to you. It says Title X or Title 10, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, Section 1001. Comptroller General of the United States Review of All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Section 1002. Sunset of requirements relating to audits of unidentified anomalous phenomena, historical record report. And Section 1003 is the funding limitations related to unidentified anomalous phenomena. So, I don't know if you guys remember what Colonel Carl Nell talked about. He was mentioning this catastrophic disclosure.
The government exists for and by the people. And so the nature of reality is fundamentally not government information. People have a right to know the world in which we live, and the pursuit of happiness requires that knowledge. So that's sort of the first kind of overarching philosophical foundation for this. But, you know, as a corollary to that, if there are misdeeds that were done, then they need to be remediated. If there's lack of proper oversight, which is suggested by some of the whistleblowers, that needs to be remediated. So the first issue is the moral issue. The second issue is being in a reactive mode is never preferable to being in a proactive mode. So reactive mode is basically trying to prevent disclosure. But failing that, you might get a situation where you have catastrophic disclosure that creates all the problems that you were trying to prevent. So a more balanced middle path of controlled disclosure is the best way to do this, which is, again, an argument for some amount of disclosure. And the third part is simply societal advance and global competitiveness. More brain trust needs to be brought into this topic in order to make progress and to improve society. And so all three of those things together trump the 6 other reasons for non-disclosure.
And
so my question is, and I kind of know already the answer, but there are a lot of interpretations recently of what this means. Because to some, when he said catastrophic disclosure, they believe he meant that it would cause like major societal disruption, civilization collapse, economy going completely to the ground, and crime will go sky high everywhere. But there are also other different avenues to interpret this term of catastrophic disclosure. Before I continue with that, I'm just going to let you know what actually happened so you know. Senator Reid recently stated that it doesn't seem that the Senate will have time this year to bring the NDAA up for debate to the floor again. So the plan is to proceed with the manager's package that will then go through a negotiation with the House, but it will be like an informal negotiation. So in other words, the manager's package was likely the last opportunity that the UAPDA had to be included in the NDAA this year. That means that it is highly likely that the legislation this year is dead. So, what I mean by catastrophic disclosure having many interpretations is that I think that what will happen is, personally, what they are trying to avoid, and they were trying to avoid, and please help me, follow me so I can connect the dots. Over the past couple of weeks, we've seen Matthew Pines talking about China and them potentially already having more advancements than the US in reverse engineered technologies. Russia is a major issue too. When Nell, who's a military man, talks about catastrophic disclosure, there's like another different school of thought where he's talking out of caution. Another country with better capabilities than the US has an advantage over the US because they have it against them. You guys know how chaotic and terrible the situation in geopolitics is at the moment. There will be people generally and mainly from the Democratic side, but I think from both sides, who will tell you that the U.S. hasn't been involved in a war in many years. That is not true. That is an absolute lie, because the U.S. has been involved in proxy wars repeatedly over the last 20 years at least. So there are many countries that have it against them because they've been responsible for militias and rebel groups, they call them, and terrorist groups, they call them, who are fighting against them indirectly with their weapons. That's what's happening in Ukraine right now. Just think about it. So when they say catastrophic, imagine the U.S. doesn't pass any legislation, they don't lead disclosure, and another country that is against them does. That is not only a shift in power in general. The U.S. will have to answer for a lot of things if this happens. And this is what I think that the control disclosure movement has been trying to avoid. Because whether they like it or not, and whether you like it or not, this is going to happen. Something is going to leak. More whistleblowers are coming forward. There's more documentaries. There's more material. There's a lot of stuff happening outside of these bureaucrats who, frankly, they have their own plan, their own agenda, and they're not considering everybody in this plan. Disclosure is supposed to be a global issue, not a United States issue. And I think that people from within the UAP disclosure, control disclosure movement don't understand, because their partisanship and their geopolitical stance on the world is the one making the decisions. I think that compromises them, because they're acting out of a sense of patriotism and national security. UFOs are not a matter of national security. UFOs are a matter of international security. And this is something that I am going to keep trying to get through their thick skulls respectfully and I'm a friend. I mean, I have nothing against them. I just want to point out it is flawed. Your plan is flawed because you're not including other countries in your plan. You're including yourselves, yeah. Countries that are allies, yeah. But what about the other countries? This is a global issue. My country, Mexico, we have a notoriously socialist president who I really do not like, who is allowing himself to be controlled by the Mexican cartels. Culiacan right now is a war zone. It's the most dangerous city in the world right now as we speak. Bodies without heads are appearing on a daily basis in the city of Culiacan. People can't leave their homes because of this cartel war. And I think that a lot of this issue with the UFOs, if it's brought up to attention as a unit from everybody, every country, it has the potential to do incredible things for all of us. But as long as you guys keep on trying to politicize this issue and trying to look out first for the interests and national security of the U.S. before humanity, this is not going to pass and it's not going to work. I think that all political systems are flawed. And the fact that you tried to do this in the first place without realizing that was your first mistake. That's what I believe. I believe that the world right now, and especially you, the U.S., is so divided with partisan politics and this dual ideology of left and right and, liberal, conservative and all this bullshit. It completely misses the forest for the trees, because I have friends who are also conservative, even Republican, who are genuinely nice people who I disagree with, of course, but they're still good people and I love them. They're my friends. Why is there suddenly, like in recent years, such a movement that is trying to divide us even more in ideology? Why is that? Why can't we just get along and understand that each of us has a different worldview, that as long as it doesn't affect others, it's your worldview. You can do with your life whatever the hell you want. Granted, I believe that anything that affects other people's choices, especially life choices, should always be disputed and fought against. I do believe that. But these issues are generally not as many as we make them out to be in this day and age because of this division in philosophy. So what's coming, I think, is this catastrophic disclosure. The news I broke on Monday is part of what I think catastrophic disclosure actually is. Because yes, there will be some kind of societal disruption. I also think there will be many places in the world where, even if this is confirmed by a scientist, the Webb telescope, or another major public figure, I think that there will be many places where life will just go on. Unless we are invaded by something. Then I don't know what will happen if that is the case. But I think that it is time. I mean, Matt Ford is right. He says that the gloves are coming off. He's right. But I think that he doesn't understand the full extent of that phrase. Because, yes, the gloves are coming off. But they're coming off not just like from your perspective of politics and national security. They're coming off everywhere. There's going to be competing narratives. Whoever really holds the actual key to how this is like a conduit to the most effective way of disclosure is the one that is going to end up on top. And I can only hope that whoever ends on top can extend a hand and just offer assistance to anyone. Because this is the main issue within not just the entire world, but right now in the UFO community, that we are so divided by ideologies and we are blinded by partisanship and this dualistic worldview that needs to end as soon as possible. Especially now that we learned that politics is not working. I think bureaucracy is useless. Useless. So, what will happen now? Let me know. Let me know what you think catastrophic disclosure means. I want to know. And yeah, I am doing a long video with new discoveries and new information of Dr. Jacobo Greenberg. That will release later today. But for now, I want you guys to think about what happened today. What are the next steps you think should be taken? Do you think whistleblowers will be forced to come forward now? Are we going to see that 4K video finally? Come on, guys. You got it. You have one of those. You need to release it. You do. I know someone has rights to a lot of that stuff. So this person, now that they realize what is happening, please release that stuff as soon as possible. It's supposed to be game-changing, right? Let's see it. So, let me know what you think. I don't think it's bad news, necessarily. Let's see what happens. I think catastrophic disclosure was always the way, if you ask me. If you like the content you see, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Every kind of help that you send our way is going to be always greatly appreciated. I'm going to leave a few links in the description so you can help out in other ways if you want. You're not obliged to. Just by being here is more than enough. Liking, commenting, and sharing, it always helps. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for hearing this dude ramble on. See you guys until later's video. Bye.